muss sich alles noch werden mag, das Blühen will nicht enden, es will nicht enden, es blüht das Fenster tiefste Tal, es blüht das tiefste Tal, nur es vergisst der Qual, nun muss ich alles wenden, nun muss ich alles
Good morning. I am the Reverend Lora Young. My pronouns are she, her, and her. I am a fairly tall, red-haired woman with red-rimmed glasses, and I'm sporting a fashionable sling today. Just so everyone doesn't have to ask me after church, yes, I broke my arm. It was not very fashionable the way that I did it. It was on some stairs. The doctor says I will live. And I'm using it as an excuse to wear flip-flops to church. So this is a convergence of various celebrations here in our community, just as last weekend held several celebrations culturally and specifically to Unitarian Universalism. This weekend does as well. It is Mother's Day, as we all know. We'll be speaking a little bit about that later in the service. And also today is our flower communion, which is a long-standing tradition in Unitarian Universalism, celebrating our human connections to one another. And if you have your flowers and they're with you in your seat, I encourage you to come forward and place them on the altar during the singing that's coming in a few moments, or just wander up. And I know the children also have some flowers, and when we do our hymn, they'll be adding their flowers as well. So this is Mother's Day, but I want to tweak your understanding of Mother's Day a little bit. The appeal to womanhood throughout the world, later known as the Mother's Day Proclamation, by Unitarian Julia Ward Howe, was an appeal for women to unite for peace in the world. Written in 1870, Howe's appeal to womanhood was a pacifist reaction to the carnage of the American Civil War and the Franco-Prussian War. The appeal was tied to Howe's feminist conviction that women had a responsibility to shape their societies at the political level. And may I just add that she was clearly a badass, even if she would not yet have known that term. And I visited her gravesite the afternoon that I was in Boston after my interview to become a minister with the Unitarian Universalist Association. I'm going to ask a couple of volunteers to come forward now. I asked 4 people, and I have 4 slots. If you were one of the people who agreed to be a reader, I have some words for you to read. Yes, Lauren and Paige. Yep, and I have one more. Perfect. So, and you can just, each section is marked like that, and there are 4, so just read the first section.
All right. In 1872, Howe asked for the celebration of a Mother's Day for Peace on June 2nd of every year, but she was unsuccessful. 36 years later, Anna Jarvia, daughter of Anne Reeves Jarvis, who herself had been a co-conspirator and activist alongside Julia Ward Howe, established Mother's Day as an official holiday in the United States. While her intent was different from Julia Ward Howe's, her advocacy was inspired by these earlier efforts. Anna Jarvis wanted to set aside a day to honor all mothers because she believed a mother is the person who's done more for you than anyone in the world.
Although Jarvis was successful in founding Mother's Day, she became resentful of the commercialization of the holiday. By the early 1920s, Hallmark Cards and other companies had started selling Mother's Day cards. Jarvis believed that the companies had misinterpreted and exploited the idea of Mother's Day, and that the emphasis of the holiday was on the sentiment, not profit. As a result, she organized boycotts of Mother's Day and threatened to issue lawsuits against the companies involved. Jarvis argued that people should appreciate and honor their mothers through handwritten letters, expressing their love and gratitude instead of buying gifts and pre-made cards.
Jarvis protested at a candy makers convention in Philadelphia, 1923, and at the meeting of American War Mothers in 1925. By this time, coronations had become associated with Mother's Day, and the selling of coronations by the American War Mothers to raise money angered Jarvis, who was arrested for disturbing the peace. Internationally, there were immediate concerns surrounding the exclusive association of Mother's Day with a biological definition of motherhood. Constance Annalyn Smith instead advocated for Mothering Sunday as an equivalent celebration.
Good morning. Whoa. Good morning. Turn that away. I'm Cate MacGillivray. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Welcome to all gathered here with us in the sanctuary and to those of you at home in the virtual audience. We extend an especially warm welcome to those of you who are with us for the first, second, and third time. We are so glad you're here, and we look forward to getting to know you. If you'd like to keep up to date on our events, please sign up for the weekly newsletter via the online order of service. The QR code is in the hardback hymnals or at the welcome table. Announcements. Next Sunday, May 19th, is a big day for our community. Seems like we're having a lot of big days, ending up our year. During worship, we'll be celebrating our children and youth in our annual bridging ceremony and enjoying a potluck after worship. Then at 11:45, we will host our annual congregational meeting in the sanctuary. We will be electing new officers and presenting the budget for congressional approval. If anybody would like to bring up any flowers right now that they still are holding, you're welcome to bring them up and find a vase. And at this time, we'd like to take a moment to fully arrive and welcome each other with joy.
just invite everyone just to take a moment just to take in this gorgeousness that we have co-created this morning. Let us now light our chalice, the symbol of our faith and the light of our commitments to love and justice. Who is my chalice lighter this morning? Do I have a chalice lighter? Okay, Cate, will you be my chalice lighter? Oh, here we have a volunteer. Excellent. It is actually back there today. It's hiding. And I invite you to say our chalice lighting words with me as they appear on the screen. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action. Thank you. And let's start all of our celebrations. It is May, and it is birthday blessing time. So if you have a birthday in May, please come on forward. Okay, here you go.
And it's hot.
Okay. You can just kind of line up and around.
You want me to do it?
Okay. Oh, there was a busy time 9 months prior. So on behalf of the congregation, receive this blessing. May this coming year, open your mind to new possibilities, discoveries, and dreams. May your heart be joyful and free. May your spirit be moved by a deeper wisdom. When adventure beckons, may your courage rise. When sorrow arrives, may your friends and your community surround you quickly and well. And may your compassion for self and others grow, more rooted in loving kindness, such that your life proves this essential truth, that with love all things are possible. May this blessing wend its way into and through and around your consciousness whenever you need it most. This world is better because you are in it, and we are glad you are here. Congratulations. So now we will begin the ritual of our flower communion. The flower communion service was created by Norbert Cate, who lived from 1870 to 1942 and founded the Unitarian Church in Czechoslovakia. He introduced this special service to that church on June 4th, 1923. For some time, he had felt the need for some symbolic ritual that would bind people together more closely. The format had to be one that would not alienate any who had forsaken other religious traditions. The traditional Christian communion service with bread and wine was unacceptable to members of his congregation because of their strong reaction to the Catholic faith at that time. So he turned to the native beauty of their countryside for elements of a communion which would be genuine to them. And this simple service was the result. It was such a success that it was held yearly just before the summer recess of the church, back when they had summer recesses for church, which we do not have here in the United States.
The flower communion was brought to the United States in 1940 and introduced to the members of the Cambridge, Massachusetts church by Dr. Capek's wife, Maya. The Czech-born Maya had met Norbert Capek in New York City while he was studying for his PhD, and it was at her urging that Norbert left the Baptist ministry and turned to Unitarianism. The Kopics returned to Czechoslovakia in 1921 and established the dynamic liberal church in Prague. Maya was ordained in 1926. It was during her tour in the United States that Maya introduced the flower communion, which had been developed in the Prague Church at the Unitarian Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Unfortunately, Maya was unable to return to Prague due to the outbreak of World War II, and it was not until the war was over that Norbert Kopic's death in a Nazi concentration camp was revealed. From this beginning, the service has spread to many of our Unitarian Universalist congregations and has been adapted along the way.
People were asked to bring a flower of their choice, either from their own gardens or the field or the roadside or Smith's. When they arrived at church, a large vase stood waiting in the vestibule, attended by 2 young members of the church school. Each person was asked to place their own flower in the vase. This signified that it was by their own free will that they joined with others. The vase contained all the flowers as a symbol of the United Church Fellowship. So we have too many flowers for one vase, so we combine them all into our communal vases here.
So today, after the service, as people left the church, they went to the vase, and each took a flower from the vase other than the one that they had brought. The significance of the flower communion is that no 2 flowers are alike, so no 2 people are alike, yet each one has a contribution to make. Together, the different flowers form a beautiful bouquet. Our common bouquet would not be the same without the unique addition of each individual flower, and thus it is with our church community. It would not be the same without each and every one of us. Thus, this service is a statement of our community. By exchanging flowers, we will show our willingness to walk together in our search for truth, disregarding all that might divide us. Each person takes home a flower brought by someone else, thus symbolizing our shared celebration in community. This communion of sharing is essential to a free people of a free religion.
If there is anyone who has yet to place their flower on the altar, you're invited to do that at this time. I use the words directly of Norbert Kopic through much of this next part of our ritual. He wrote, "Children of the earth and sky, we are nurtured, sustained, given warmth and light from above and below. Supported by the earth's strong, firm crust, we build our homes, till the fields, plant our gardens and orchards. When we turn from self and seek to be aware, we find holy light in human faces, in blossom, in birdsong, and sky. Then earth is truly our home, and we are one with all of earth's creatures, parents of earth's children yet to be." Whenever Dr. Kopic conducted his flower communion in Prague, he would say this proverb as he consecrated the flowers. "Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts to be one in our desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship. But may we realize that whenever we can do and whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do the work of this world. It's now time for us to share in the flower communion. I ask that as each of you come and approach the altar, you do so quietly, reverently, with a sense of how important it is for each of us to address our world and one another with gentleness, justice, and love. I ask that you select a flower different from the one that you brought that particularly appeals to you. As you take your chosen flower, noting its particular shape and beauty, please remember to handle it carefully. It is a gift brought for you by somebody else today, and it represents the other person's unique humanity and therefore deserves your kindest touch. Let us share quietly now with one another in this ritual of oneness and love. And if you would like a flower brought to you, simply just raise your hand, and we will bring you one. In the name of Providence, which implants in the seed the future of the tree in the hearts of all people, the longing for people living in love, in the name of the highest, in whom we move and who makes the mother, the father, the brother, the sister, the sibling, the friend, all that they are. In the name of the sages and great religious leaders who sacrificed their lives to hastening the coming of peace and justice, let us renew our resolution, sincerely, to be authentically and real friends and connected partners, regardless of anything that might take us apart from one another. In this resolution, may we be strengthened, knowing that we are all one family, that one spirit, the spirit of love, unites us, and may we endeavor for a more perfect and joyful life. Just before he was put to death in Dachau, Dr. Kopek wrote this prayer, reflecting on his own life and the state of his spirit. It is worthwhile to live and fight courageously for sacred ideals. O blow, ye evil winds, into my body's fire, my soul you'll never unravel. Even though disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight and everything would seem worthless, I have lived amidst eternity. Be grateful, my soul, my life was worth living. He who was pressed from all sides but remained victorious in spirit is welcomed into the choir of heroes. He who overcame the fetters, giving wing to the minds, is entering into the golden age of the victorious. May his words and the sharing of this community find its way into your heart and into your life, reminding you of the essential wholeness that is already present within. Let us now sing our children out to their activities. This community, South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society, is held together and sustained by so many rich relationships, traditions, and rituals. And today we are rejoicing with not just our flower communion and our birthday blessing, but one more ritual. A communion with those who have decided to become members of our community. Membership is open to all people who find this place to be their spiritual home. Ours is a free faith, and our church is not based upon dogma or creeds, but upon the thoughtful and freely given commitment of mind and heart in community. This morning, we welcome the following people as members: Bob Scarborough, Ethan and Ruthie Savage, Sue Garr, and Rob Carlson. We also take a moment to extend this invitation to anyone present who spontaneously feels the call to join our community as a member, and in a moment we will invite all of you forward. I would like to invite my membership team forward to come with me at this time.
Hi, I'm Lori Quigley. My pronouns are she and her. Membership in this community comes with both responsibilities and opportunities for living an enriched life of service. As a member, we ask three things of you. First, we ask that you attend worship regularly. Worship is the heart of our congregation's shared experience. While, of course, we all need to be absent from time to time, we ask that you make it a priority to be with us as many Sundays as possible. Second, we ask that you get involved in one of our many ministries and make service to and for the community part of your commitment. This is a shared ministry, and our work is amplified and made brighter by the gifts that you share with us. Join one of our Soul Matters groups, the choir, or volunteer for a ministry or a leadership team. Third, we ask that you make a pledge to support the work of this community. Your pledge is critical to sustaining our many ministries and ensuring that those in need of a community such as this may know of it.
My name is Sarah. My pronouns are she and her. I'm all in purple today. Membership here is for both the good and easy times as well as those times of difficulty or hardship. Membership is for every season of your life, and we will walk with you through each of those seasons and ask that you do the same with us. Together we build the beloved community that is South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. We are so glad you are here.
In the spirit of dedication, I now invite those who have given us their names and all those who wish to become members to come forward at this time. Again, while some of you have let us know, it is okay to spontaneously come up. Each and all of you are now welcome to come forward at this time. And bring your order of service with you. So I only have the one microphone, so I will pass it in this direction. And then I'm going to invite all of you just to speak loudly-ish toward the congregation. Okay. So, and maybe just introduce yourself really quick also.
I'm Bob Scarborough. I'm Rob Carlson.
Ruthie Savage.
I'm Ethan Savage.
So now I invite you in your order of service to read the part that says new members. Together.
Together.
Yes.
This is now my religious community. It is composed of people both like me and different. Together we make it what it is, I want this community to be a source of light and wholeness. It will be if I am. It will make generous gifts if I am a generous giver. It will be a friendly and welcoming place if I remember to reach out. It will be a responsible steward of resources if I participate responsibly in it. It will share beauty and challenging thought with other people if I invite them. It will increase in wisdom if I am diligent in my own spiritual growth. It will be a community of fearlessness and faith, of loyalty and love, if I, who make it what it is, am filled with these. As I become a member of this congregation, I dedicate myself to the goal of becoming all the things I want my church to be.
Will the congregation please join in welcoming our new fellow members by speaking together the affirmations printed in your order of service. We rejoice in the promise of new friendship and growth. As we renew and expand our covenant together, may the splendid venture of life continue to be celebrated faithfully here. And in this community, may the human spirit always find ample home. Into this covenant community of memory and promise, these members are now enfolded. May this congregation nurture and challenge each of you, offering comfort and guidance and calling forth the best within each of you. May they, in their turn, bring to this place their energy, vision, and commitment that it may become ever more fully the community we have hoped for it to be. And now we're going to give you some gifts.
My name is Tammy Felt, and I would like to present each of our new members with a rose to symbolize their human journey, a UU pocketbook, and that's one of each of these to you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Please join me in welcoming them. You can clap your hands.
This community, our church, and its many ministries are only made possible by the gifts you give of your time, your talent, and your treasure. Many of you pledge monthly to support our work, and for this we are grateful. Your gifts help to ensure that we are able to live our values of love and justice in the world outside. Part of our ministry at South Valley includes sharing our Sunday worship offerings with a charitable organization that aligns with our principles and values. For our split plate offering for May and June, South Valley will share funds with the Utah Investigative Journalism Project. South Valley believes that government is more accountable, effective, and representative when a healthy, free press is able to examine its actions and share with them, with the public. The Utah Investigative Journalism Project partners with newspapers and broadcast media on difficult and in-depth stories, helping these institutions continue their historic role as government watchdogs and defenders of the poor and oppressed. They also work to train and educate local journalists in the practice of investigative journalism, providing free reporting workshops for rural papers, student journalists, and major news outlets. Please join me in reading our offertory words. They are printed in your order of service and on the screen. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together, we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts.
For all that we have found the courage to give, may we be truly grateful. May these gifts be a blessing to South Valley and to the Utah Investigative Journalism Project. I always think that on Mother's Day, it's important to just acknowledge the complexity that is held in this holiday. And I have made a habit of it in the last few years of asking not, what are you doing for Mother's Day, but rather, which Mother's Day are you holding space for this year? Which Mother's Day are you holding space for this year? For there are many spaces that we can hold. It is not just a biological path to motherhood that we honor and recognize today. For many, that biological path to motherhood was thwarted. There are others who have welcomed children through fostering and adoption into their lives. There are those among us who decided long ago to be child-free by choice. And there are those who have loved and lost little spirits too soon. We hold space for all of these mothering practices. We can see and hear the stories of children and former children whose connections to mothers are fraught with difficulty, abuse, and harm. And we can hold that side by side in the space of delight of young children making cards and picking all of the neighbors' daffodils and tulips in the yard as a testament to their effortless love and affection for their caretakers. There is room here and in our hearts for all of it. There is room for those of us who mother the unexpected. There's room for those of us who mother ourselves. And there is room for those of us who find ourselves in mothering style relationships with people that we never expected to. As a mother myself and a motherless daughter at this point in my life, I hold space for all of this. And I invite you to open up and hold that space also for yourself. Our stories really matter, don't they? They are the means by which we create connection and hope for a better future. They're the means by which we resist and rise again and again in our efforts about bringing a future about for everyone who lives in a female-identified body that is not just free from harm, but liberated to define their lives on their own terms in resilience and joy. We can hold those griefs and those joys within our own hearts and within this community. And we can connect to the larger griefs of the world on this day as well. I think about Julia Ward Howe and how she was responding to the carnage of the American Civil War and of the wars that were surrounding and all across the globe in her time, about the peace movement that she and other women founded internationally, demanding that governments do right by families, that governments cease to send primarily at that time, of course, young men into war, and now young people into war. And it can be really hard to hold the disparate truths that are part of this world right now, the many, many places in which chaos and conflict have broken out, the ones that we read about in the paper and the ones that we never hear about. And we can hold space for that, and I think maybe draw some comfort and some courage from the words of Julia Ward Howe. And I would lift up specifically, as my colleague John did last week from the pulpit, that a nation is not its people, and that the role of a government is to protect, to serve, and to honor the life of all people in their care. I am sure that if Julia Ward Howe was alive today, she would be in shock and horror, as many of us are, at the ongoing destruction in Gaza, in Ukraine, in Haiti, in Guatemala, and in Congo, and even here in the United States, where the government fails to stand up and protect its citizens from harm. And I think sometimes as liberals, it's very easy to get locked up in this idea that there is a right and a wrong way of approaching these topics. The politics gets so big. The rhetoric gets so strong. Each side, each part, each voice seeking for that purity of message that will somehow bring this violence to an end. And if only words were that powerful. Many years ago, a friend gave me a metaphor that I'd like to share with you this morning as to how I approach and hold space for the very, very serious destruction that is happening in the world in many places, the thousands and thousands of lives of children and women that are being lost in Gaza. And it was a theological metaphor she gave me, but I find that as the years go on, it becomes more and more useful. And she said, whatever thought or belief you have, whatever it is, she says, we often hold them in our hands with a closed fist because we want something to be certain in this world. We want something to cling on to. We want some grounding so that we don't have to feel the uncertain slipperiness that is often the chaos that is in our world. She said, the problem is that when you keep your hand closed like this, you can't use it for much. You can't use it for much. She says the trick is to relax the hand, to open the hand as if it was a flower, which seemed an apt metaphor for our flower communion today. Because, of course, if you go up to a beautiful flower and you grab it with your hand the way a toddler might, the toddler quickly learns that the flower is crushed. And so children must be taught to be gentle. Yes, thank you, Joshua, for showing us Max's desiccated flower. Children must be taught to open their hand so that the gentleness and the joy that they feel upon seeing the beauty of that flower, because in their case, all they're doing is trying to grab that flower because it's so pretty, right? So they have to be taught that the best way to enjoy that flower is to keep the hand open. And so I offer you this today as we contemplate, as we read the news of Ukraine, of Gaza, of Haiti, to try your best to know that one of the best things that you can do is to keep your hand open as a metaphor for keeping dialogue open, as a metaphor for standing in the truth rather than being locked into argument. Our call as a religion is to be faithful, to love. Sometimes that looks like protest. And we walk in solidarity with those who are protesting, who have the ability to protest on our college campuses. We also, though, hold a deep prayer for peace, for the humanity, not just of the people in Gaza and those who are protesting on our college campuses, but for every single person. The reason that we have as one of our principles the worth and dignity of all human beings is because that is a very hard standard to live to. So as you go forth today, I invite you just to imagine that whenever your mind wants to grab on to something that feels right, to pause for a moment and see if you can still hold that rightness in the palm of your hand. a palm that is open and that can help, soothe, serve, and bring joy. Because a fist can't do that, but an open hand can. Let's sing ourselves toward extinguishing our chalice. There is more love somewhere, number 95.
As you're willing, in body, mind, or spirit, and join us in our actions as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again.
You may be seated to receive the benediction because it's kind of long. I'd like to invite Stephanie to come forward if she's still up here to be our shared reader with me. Today we know and we feel acutely the pain of the world. And we need Julia Ward-Howe's words and her commitment to a connected and active peace grounded in love today as much as ever. May her words meet your heart's pain, soothe you, heal you, enliven, and encourage you to keep holding open your heart and your hand for peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding and keeps us whole until we meet again. And may mothering in all its forms weave its way throughout your life, hold you and keep you close. And may now you hear her words. And you can read as much as you want, and I'll take over when you're done. Okay. And it's in very antiquated language, so go slow.
All right. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, "Disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence vindicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council."
Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace. Man as the brother of man, each bearing after his own kind the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. By Julia Ward Howe in 1870. Please remain seated for our postlude.
The you of this song that I just see very much as being like that divine feminine, the divine mother.